we'll give them da'wah. They wanna know what a Muslim does, we'll give them da'wah. When they wanna hate on our deen, we'll give them da'wah. Who's the one and only? Nobody but Allah.
Let me break it down right now for you. Da'wah is a call to you. It's an invitation to change your life. Calling you to see the truth. Back in the day I was living a lie.
Good reason to say it, then why are you saying it? Yeah, exactly. Alhamdulillah.
It's something to do with the weather.
So that's all we do.
That is more or less my position.
Which is what?
As you've just
You
outlined.
don't accept God exists. The evidence.
After all the thought I've given to it, I don't see any good reason to believe in the kind of God that is described by the likes of yourself.
And this was what
other things.
Alhamdulillah.
On the other hand, and I'm on video saying this, I will not go around claiming that there is no such thing as God.
Fantastic.
I mean, the interest, I just caught the end of that discussion, so the discussion about what is reasonable and not.
Okay, yeah.
There's a discussion. Is there such a thing as an objective criteria? I think, what's his name?
Which one?
The guy you were talking to.
Oh,
Alex. Yeah.
Was it Alex?
You see,
I was going to say Dennis.
Alex, yeah, well, I ought to know by now. That his judgment of what is reasonable can change if given sufficient evidence and reason.
Of course.
So there's no objective. I suppose there's a reasonably objective criterion of being utterly unreasonable. In fact, when the atheist comes along and almost, or the theist says there is a God, or the atheist says there is no God, in a sense, if they leave it at that, they're both being unreasonable. They're not using reason to back it.
No. But the point is this: we're saying we believe in the existence of a creator, the existence of a first cause. We believe in the existence of a. Now, this word belief, I have to do this for the benefit of the camera, yeah.
Okay.
Because in the part, no, I knew as well, yeah. This word belief, I had a debate with Sarah, and I want to clear this up now. And I took the word belief off the table, yeah, because I changed it to accept. Now, the reason I did that was because the word belief has loaded connotation. So when you say belief, you automatically start thinking fairies, unicorns and such, yeah? Fantasy things. But the reality is this is a false loaded connotation. Now, some people can't be trusted with the word, so you have to leave it out of the conversation, right? But the reality is this: the word belief is synonymous with convinced by, trust, have faith in.
Can I add to that? I think belief also involves the recognition that you might be proved wrong. For example, I could say, I believe a number 10 bus will be along in 10 minutes. I might be wrong, you know.
Right. What if I said to you at 15 years old I climbed Mount Everest with my dad? Do you believe me?
You're 50?
No, when I... It's not... Why 50?
Sorry, did you say you're 50 years old?
15.
Oh, 15.
Do you believe me?
I don't know.
Are you convinced by what I said?
I don't know you well enough.
Alhamdulillah. Now it's that reasoning, isn't it?
To judge whether
right.
you
So I could have, I couldn't have, innit?
tell porkies or not.
Right.
I mean, after time, I might know.
All right, I'm making the claim. I'm making the claim.
Now?
I'm going to make the claim.
I see you around Speaker's Corner.
When I was 15 years old, I climbed Mount Everest with my dad.
I've no reason to disbelieve you. So being a trusting sort of guy, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, well, I didn't.
Oh dear, now you've blown my...
Well, here's the thing, you see. No, but here's the point, you see. I could have asked the same question like this. Do you accept I climbed Mount Everest when I was 15? Now, you could ask me, prove you did. Yeah? Prove you did. I said, well, I had a certificate that they gave us for it, but it burned in a house fire, so I can't prove it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I never climbed Mount Everest.
Yeah.
All right? So, and here's what people have to understand, especially here in Speaker's Corner, because they use this word belief a lot and they think it means fantasy. Okay.
Very specific terms of
If I make a claim, and who is it? If someone makes an extraordinary claim, they require extraordinary evidence or something like that?
David Hume.
Was it?
David Hume, about 2 centuries before.
No, recently. Said Carl Sagan. Okay.
Quoting David
All right.
Hume.
If I make an extraordinary claim, and I can't produce any evidence to support that claim, it doesn't mean my claim is wrong. It just means you don't accept my claim. Now, if I produce evidence to support my claim, now it has to be whether or not you accept my evidence or not. And if your subjective criteria for evidence is different to my subjective criteria for evidence, then again, you can reject my claim. Still doesn't mean my claim is wrong. And that's the point I'm making. Just because somebody believes something, yeah, because the words synonymous are convinced by, trust, accept, indicates, points to reason. There's reasons why they believe in this.
Yeah.
Which is why when I come here and speak to Christians, why do you believe this? I'm not saying why. I'm asking them, why are you convinced by this? Why do you accept this? This is the question I'm asking. Yeah? Why do, and I want your reasons for it. Now you can ask me, why do you believe the Quran is the word of God? Why do you believe Islam is the only religion? You can ask me these things, and I'll give you my reasons. Because there has to be reason. So in the same breath, if an atheist wants to walk around claiming God doesn't exist, he needs reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you can't say, because babies get cancer. This is reason. No. The question then becomes, why does God allow babies to get cancer? It could be.
Yeah.
Yeah? It doesn't mean just because babies get cancer, God doesn't exist. The Creator doesn't exist. The universe created itself. Yeah? So this is what people need to learn.
Yeah.
They need to learn this.
I think some atheists will adopt the dogmatic assertion, perhaps from a sort of rhetorical angle. For example, Dawkins, who is recognised as being one of the four horsemen of the atheist movement, in one of his books, he says, no, I'm not 100% certain. He gives his scale of 0 to 7, or 1 to 7. 1 is belief, 7 is total disbelief.
This is why
he says I'm a 6.9er. So in other words,
this is why it's the possibility, probability. Yeah, can't be. And what did he answer when he said, what if you're wrong?
Sorry?
When he was asked, what you're wrong? What if you're wrong?
I don't recall.
He couldn't answer. He went silent. Then he went, well, what if you're wrong? Well, if we're wrong, we ain't got a problem. This is Pascal's wager now, isn't it?
Oh,
is that right?
Yeah.
Pascal's wager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, Pascal's wager.
Pascal's wager.
Yeah. It's where you say.
Yeah, I know of it.
Yeah. So basically, to not believe in a God.
Yeah.
No, sorry. To believe in God. What was Pascal's wager?
Blaise Pascal, French mathematician and philosopher.
Yeah. What did he say? It was.
He was kind of thinking through all these arguments and said, actually, at the end of the day, it's almost like one of those little game theory grids.
Yeah.
So what are the strategies? I can either believe or not believe, and God either exists or not exists. So if you fill in the boxes, if I believe and God exists, eternal reward. If I believe and God doesn't exist, nothing really. Maybe I've wasted time in going to mass and so on. But that's quite nice, and, you know.
Yeah. But if he's wrong,
I don't believe and God doesn't exist, again, 0. If I don't believe
and God does exist,
well, depending on your God, it could be a sharp prod in the buttocks with a pitchfork before you spend
eternity in hell,
1,000 years in purgatory, or if you perhaps believe in what the Quran tells us, an eternity in being boiled alive and flayed. So that was Blaise Pascal writing in a Catholic country where really there was only one option. Now, I have two objections to this, really.
Oh, go on.
First of all, there are many religions in the world, so it's not kind of like it's actually multi-dimensional. So, I mean, which God? Suppose you end up believing in the wrong God. Supposing the ancient Greek or the Scandinavian cosmology was right, and we all ought to be believing in Thor. Or
this is where reason kicks in.
Yeah, you might be right.
This is why it's not emotional.
All these things are possible. The other thing is, which is perhaps more profound, is that I can't believe against my beliefs, if you see what I mean. It's almost
you can't accept against what you accept.
It's almost fraudulent. If I've used my reason to come to a conclusion.
Could you reason and be wrong?
Yes, of course.
Do you know everything?
No, I don't.
Is there knowledge out there that could change your reasoning and understanding?
Is there knowledge? Potentially.
Yeah, so there you go.
I could give an example.
Supposing
that in our research, let's take DNA for example, the geneticists prove that there is a whole chapter from the Quran encoded in our DNA without a shadow of a doubt. I don't think there will be any doubt whatsoever. I'm just producing that as a kind of example that would leave me and other agnostics and atheists saying, right, game's up.
I don't think you still accept that.
Sorry?
You still wouldn't accept that.
I would.
Oh, you would?
Assuming the procedures were correct. I mean, sometimes these hidden messages, there's lots of statistical stuff you have to go through to get to a convincing. If the mathematicians and the statisticians say, actually, that sequence of bases can be encoded as either something from the Bible or something from the Quran or something from Buddhist scripture or whatever. If that could be absolutely shown by very reputable people, I would
Yeah, but you could still have the instruments been corrupted.
Yes, I
you'll come with something.
but there's a reason.
Can the people did it? Were they paid to do that?
This is where reasonable comes in.
No, exactly.
There comes a point where somebody who denies all the evidence in front of them, you just think, oh well.
Do you believe people come into the park?
Do
you believe people come into the park?
Really?
Do you believe people come into the park telling people who believe in a creator are deluded and crazy for believing in that is reasonable behaviour, unreasonable?
No, I think one should engage.
No, is it?
If you find people who give the impression of being reasonable and willing to talk, the best thing, in fact, it's best to talk to people who disagree with you than people who agree with you. Otherwise,
no. But is it reasonable and unreasonable to make claims that the creator doesn't exist?
On the grounds of, first of all, the notion, the creator. Well, depending on the definition of the creator,
the first cause,
whatever. It's something that's outside of.
No, that's interesting.
Whatever. Well, I'm proceeding.
Oh, sorry.
Outside our unit. So you're trying to prove that something which we can't detect,
so it's unreasonable,
using our senses,
so it's unreasonable,
doesn't exist.
So it's unreasonable then.
I mean, it's hard enough proving. I mean, Bertrand Russell had the example of a teapot. I mean, if I
but that's irrelevant. I know about the teapot.
Similar sort of thing. I can't disprove there's no teapot.
No, you don't have to believe it though.
Flying around Jupiter, or
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's highly unlikely.
Yeah, possibility, probability.
So it's using one's experience.
No, but it's using possibility, probability, and reasoning.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like I said to my man here.
Interestingly, it comes to a different conclusion. So.
No, because we've both got using the same string, like I said with these guys here. We're using the string of science and what we know. But when you throw in creation and the wonder within creation, and then you throw in the religious side of things, the books and such, and the prophets and the messengers, then it's completely overloaded against you. Because you've got nothing in response. You can't even challenge my first string. My first string overrides those. For example, the first string is that the universe began to exist and required a cause.
Yeah, I'm not a professional philosopher, but I do read a bit, and there are arguments on both sides. And I
just had a 40-50 minute conversation with regards to that.
So the syllogism, if you're referring to the Kalam cosmological argument, is debated.
No. The point is this. The point is, all right.
I stand back and think.
You know Rob who comes here, the South African.
Rob, yeah.
Yeah, you're great mate with him. You see my debate with him, yeah?
It's lined up on the right-hand side of my vids to
watch it, because what Rob conceded incorrectly, by the way. He claimed a stalemate, which I'm happy with.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm going toe to toe with his science. Yeah, I ain't bring no religion to the table whatsoever. Yeah, I just went toe to toe with science. Yeah, and he conceded a stalemate, which was it wasn't stalemate, it was checkmate. Because a stalemate when neither person has another move. I had many moves left. He had no moves left. But watch that video. Yeah, watch that video. Was it Beyond the Stalemate of Cosmology? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You watch it?
I haven't watched it.
Watch it.
I've watched bits of it. I didn't actually watch bits.
All right.
Of it. Yes.
Watch it.
You see, this is. I think this is.
So what I'm saying to you is this: we debated that idea, and I didn't concede. I just allowed him a stalemate.
That's generous.
Yes. Yeah. Without adding my other strings to the bow.
Yeah.
And he's right. He's got no more moves. He's stuck on that. And even that he knows isn't certain.
Yeah.
Whereas I have more things to bring to the table.
Yeah.
So for me, it's more reasonable to believe what I believe than what you believe.
A couple of points there. I think, comment on that. This might be a sort of illusion when you're talking to yourself who classifies myself as an agnostic. Therefore, part of my worldview is that there are limits to human knowledge.
Alhamdulillah.
So there will come a point where you've got plenty of arrows left in your quiver or strings to your bow, and I'll say,
Alhamdulillah.
I really can't go beyond that. I know, for example,
that's wrong.
An argument that there is perhaps quite a lot of use of logic to infer things about the real world. So pure reason.
If you watch it, I twisted the Kalam argument, which is why he had to concede it. Because I didn't use the traditional view.
So, for example, I heard you talking about infinity and the bits about Hilbert's Hotel and that sort of thing. They're all exercises in pure reason. They don't necessarily tell us anything about the real world. My position on that is that at the moment, the experts in this are cosmologists and physicists. Now, when I read my books on cosmology and physics, I find there's numerous theories about the history, the structure and the future of the universe.
Yeah.
So it's not hardly for me to come along, or anybody really, to come along with an argument which is based on pure logic.
But the thing with me, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
The thing with me, my belief system also supports that argument. So not only does the scientific argument, what the scientific argument is about the origination of the universe, beginning and such, my belief, my religious belief now, bringing that into the table now, corroborates.
Yeah.
So Islam teaches the universe had a beginning.
Right. What I was trying to say is the science, as I understand it, is unfinished business.
No, I agree.
Science is never finished.
Agreed.
But let me just pose this question. Let's say in 10, 20 years' time,
Go on.
the vast majority of cosmologists come together and they say there's absolutely conclusive proof that, for example, the universe is infinite, or the universe is part of a multiverse, and so on.
Right.
So a number of the things that you perhaps...
Concrete proof. Testable, observable evidence.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
For example, even now they're beginning to look at gravitation.
Then there's two things there. There's two things there. First
Let me just finish that, because when we say testable, observable evidence, I think
you said absolute.
We're sort of talking about areas now that possibly in principle cannot be observed. So
no, but you said absolute. How would you know it's absolute?
What they would have to have is something like such a convincing unified theory that contained within
with falsification tests. Yeah.
So it will be predicting features or describing features of the current universe, making predictions about the current universe. Within that theory, there would also be parts of the model that describe perhaps the
is it absolute proof you're saying?
Prior to the Big Bang.
Absolute.
I'm just guessing that.
No. This is 20 years time.
So in other words, it's like evolution.
No, but how can it be absolute?
You cannot go back to.
No, but how can it be absolute? That's what I don't understand.
65 million years ago.
You created a hypothetical scenario about absolutes, absolute 100%. How could it be?
Well,
it can only be testable then, isn't it?
Did I say it's absolute?
Yeah, you did. You said if 20 years time science comes in concrete, this is it. This is how it.
What I mean is,
I know exactly what you're saying.
Cosmologists.
Basically, what you're saying is if science disagrees with the Quran, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, but it's still.
Two things we do.
It's still the experts.
Yeah.
If I'm claiming that is their absolutely correct knowledge, I may be misquoting myself.
Right.
The hypothesis I was posing was that
it's a concrete.
I mean, in the same way that you wouldn't get a scientist to argue that the sun goes round the Earth.
Yeah.
No. Anybody with
how do we know the sun goes around the Earth? How do we know the sun goes around the Earth?
How do we know the sun goes around the Earth?
Yeah.
Many lines of evidence.
Right.
So
evidence.
How do we know the Earth goes around the sun?
No. How do we know? No, the Earth goes,
Or direct observation.
Right. So observation. Yeah. Right. So we just said. That's what I just said to you. If you said something concrete with evidence. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. You're right. With
Okay.
Do you understand the point? So I know what you're implying. You're saying if there's a scientific fact that's 100% proven that goes against what the Quran says, then what then, isn't it? Is that what you were trying to imply?
Well, let's take this 100% proven.
No, I'm going to hypothetically say it is.
There are degrees of. When we make statements about the past, let's face it, the world could have come into existence 5 minutes ago, looking as if it had a past.
Let's say.
So
let's use your example of the sun.
Yeah.
We know the Earth goes around the sun, yeah?
No, in the sense that there's no reasonable person, no reasonable scientist who will claim the opposite.
Right, so we know it goes round. Yeah. We've observed, tested it.
Of all the things.
Now, if the Quran,
one of the most.
Now if the Quran said it didn't,
very clearly said
it didn't.
The alternative.
Right. Yeah. What then? That's your basic point.
You're the believer.
No. Look, I spoke. Look, no. Listen to what you're saying. I spoke about the Quran corroborating the scientific model of today. Yeah. You said, what if science in 10, 20 years' time says that the universe wasn't finite, it was infinite? But that was your implication. And your implication was this. I'm pretty sure it was this. If the Quran then would then be wrong, if the Quran is saying the universe had a beginning, yet science in 20 years' time says it was infinite, then we have a conflict, isn't it? And you want to say, well, I still believe the Quran if I'm holding on to the scientific model now.
That's a question to you.
No, I know what.
Do you deal with that?
Right, so that's what I'm saying to you. But we did establish you couldn't prove that, so I brought it back to something that we can prove, which is what? That the Earth goes around the sun. Yeah? So your implication was this, and correct me if I'm incorrect. You were implying if the Quran disagrees with some scientific fact of a certainty, yeah, what then? Yeah. Now there's two things.
Be careful about using words like certainty here. I mean, the strictly.
Well, it has to be certainty, isn't it? Otherwise, it's no issue for me.
We're talking about.
Then we go possibility probability again. Yeah. Then we go back to possibility probability.
There is consensus, isn't there, that the Earth goes around the Sun.
No, right. And if the Quran didn't say that,
we can be philosophically certain about it. Now then.
What
It's slightly different territory. So let's be clear about how we're using the word certainty. There's a kind of certainty that enables to get.
well, you
around the
brought.
real
Oh,
world.
sorry. Forgive me. Sorry.
Yeah.
We just go back a little bit here.
Well, we need to analyse.
No. We need to go. No, we need to go back here. Why? Because you used the word.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go back again. I said when it comes to the scientific argument with regards to the universe having a cause and such, again dealing with your mate Rob, my mate Rob, yeah,
Our mate.
he claimed a stalemate, right? Then I said, and the Quran corroborates that stance also. So I have an extra string to my bow, yeah.
Sorry, corroborates which then?
The idea that the universe had a beginning,
Okay, yeah.
right?
It's making a
So if you're challenging a multiversa, for example,
definite claim.
yes.
Right.
The universe had a beginning.
Yeah.
All right. Then you were the one who said in 10, 20 years' time, science discovers or confirms that the universe has always existed and it's not finite. What was your point you were making? Because I jumped on your point. I thought I knew what you were talking about. I'm going to let you explain it.
That's actually just one possibility.
No, but what's your point?
Okay, well,
You brought it up. Because I said something and you said that in response to it.
well, I've lost track. You know.
All right, I'll remind you. I'll remind you. I'll remind you. I corroborated. I said it was a stalemate with regards to multiverse and a finite, infinite universe and a finite universe. And I said the Quran corroborates. So I said I brought the extra string to my bow now.
I know where we came from.
Good.
I think,
You were saying that basically
I think the point is.
No, he wasn't saying
from
that.
From my worldview, we're at a position where the authorities on the history, the shape and the future of the universe are not in agreement. That's who I'd go to get any ideas about, you know, what the universe is like in its deep past or deep future. At the moment, there are several competing theories. My hypothesis, if you like, just to expand it, is that 20, 50 or 100 years' time, there may or may not be a consensus, at which point it will be reasonable, I think, for ordinary people like us to accept and believe that as an account, a reasonable account of the way the universe is. But it could pan out in various ways. For example, in 20, 50 or 100 years' time, the cosmologists could come out and say, we're all agreed that the universe had a beginning. We have no idea where it came from. We're dying, there you go. So you could reasonably argue that there must have been a conscious creation.
No, that's not.
Or they might argue that it's one of various cyclic
No.
or infinite.
No, I don't need to wait. I don't need to take 20, 50 years. I don't need to wait 20, 50 years. Right now, as it stands today, with what we have in
We
front
don't
of
have the scientific evidence.
what we have in front of us right now today is that
No, we don't.
what the universe is infinite or finite.
No, we don't have agreement between cosmologists. There are some models that suggest it's infinite, others that it's.
And which is more probable?
I have no idea. I mean, how can I say? This is the point where you.
So how do you argue against Stephen
Rob and
Hawking
I
then?
would think this is a stalemate, and you seem to think you've still.
No.
Arrows in-
No. I have.
There
I
are
have.
limits to our knowledge.
No.
I think we've just bumped into.
Oh, okay.
To me, it doesn't really matter too much.
Even if you want to claim the stalemate now, and you've got no more quivers left, you don't know. Yeah, fair enough. You're going off a model that's not proven, no evidence for it. Yeah. Me, I'm going off a model that seems to apply according to what science says with regards to the expansion of the universe and such, that it had some kind of beginning. Whether I agree with an infinite universe, quantum vacuum, or whatever is another story. Whether I believe that singularity was infinite or not, that's another question. All right. The point here is this: the scientific model right now, according to I can only go Stephen Hawking, Lawrence Krauss, and all these guys. Universe had a beginning. Then I bring the arrow out my quiver. Now the Quran says the universe had a beginning. So now I have two things. All right. You only still stuck on the one thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. You got nothing else. You got nothing else.
You seem to think.
And when I said that, no, this is back to where we were. Because when I said that, you then tried to imply. I'm sure this is what you're trying to imply, and you realised you were going to get stuck with it. You tried to say.
I'm not clever to think about where I'm going.
Well, there must have been a reason. Watch the video.
Yeah.
There must have been a reason why you tried to say in 10, 20 years' time, if science switches and says that it's infinite, and the Quran's still saying it's finite, then you got a problem. Then it's not corroborating it.
Yeah.
Because there's no other reason why you would go 10, 20 years in the future. Science changes its stance when I bring up the Quran. There's no other way. Now, here's one thing you've got to understand. The Quran. One second.
I thought I did just explain that it's to bring out my sense that there is no conformity of opinion amongst the scientific community that deals with the large-scale structure of the universe.
No.
Now,
Why did you mention 10, 20 years?
Than them. Well, it's just
What does 10, 20 years in the future have to do with me mentioning the Quran?
Because the point being, forget the actual number, sometime in the future.
Sometime in the future what?
There may or may not be consensus among scientists who study this.
And then what? What's that got to do with my Quran?
It may or may not contradict what's in the Quran.
Okay.
It seems to me you're being too hasty in quoting Hawking and all these other people who are expressing certain features of the current state of affairs. I mean, they change their opinion. I mean, I think Hawking throughout his career has published.
Why does Stephen Hawking think the universe is finite?
Well, I remember reading.
Do you believe the universe is infinite? Or you don't know? Are you going to say don't know?
I remember reading Brief History of Time, and there's an image that's stuck in my mind from that. I know this is going back 20, 25 years, but I think he tried to explain in that the notion of beginning and ending is pretty meaningless when it comes to the universe. He tried to use an analogy, which I don't think is brilliant, but the idea of a sphere. So what is more north than north?
Yeah.
So in other words, a sphere is. So think about a sphere. It's or in n dimensions. You can have similar objects to spheres. It has no boundary. So that's in common with being infinite. There is no boundary, if you like, to an infinite series. But the sphere is finite. So in the physics of cosmology in the universe, one of the models is that the universe could be finite but unbounded. Now we're using English to describe concepts that, quite honestly, you need several years of hard mathematics to really get your head around, and I'm not even sure then that you could describe back to the general public what's going on.
Look.
So we're describing n-dimensional spaces.
Okay, it's not unreasonable for me to agree with Hawkins, is it?
Well, that's an interesting question. Do you really know what he's saying? I mean, do you understand the maths?
All I need, if he's saying the universe had a beginning.
He was misquoted. I think one of his quotes where he didn't mention God, and it turns out that he's been terribly misunderstood about that.
That wasn't the question.
No, I'm just saying that.
Does he say the universe had a beginning?
I really don't know.
Oh, fair enough. If you don't know, then there's no point bringing him up. Oh, that's fine.
It wouldn't be scientific because you couldn't observe that.
What's that? Well, you can observe that because you can look at the universe expanding. Of course you can.
Wait a minute.
Well, of course you can.
Hey, look, you see it expanding, but it may contract and expand like a.
No, if it's expanding.
This is out
when's
of
the
bounds as
beginning?
far as I'm concerned. We're not cosmologists.
Yeah, you need to watch the video because we just went through all that.
You're quoting a.
Watch the video. EF Tower channel.
I do.
Alhamdulillah.
You're quoting a current cosmologist.
I quoted Lawrence Krauss as well. I quoted Hubble. I quoted
Line
Einstein.
them all up and so on, and they might all be wrong.
Yeah, well, if you've got reasons to say they're wrong, I don't mind hearing them.
I haven't.
Good. So I'm not unreasonable.
not a cosmologist.
Right. See,
I worry for your position.
my position.
Yes, I worry for you.
Okay.
That there'll become a huge.
I'll tell you why you don't need to.
There'll become a huge.
I'll tell you why
disappointment if they all, in some years' time,
All right.
forget how. I'm not going to predict how many. They all say, "Oh God, we're all wrong when we said that."
Oh, I love it when they say, "Oh God." Okay, here's the thing.
It's a matter of speech.
Here's something you need to understand, and I think all you atheists need to understand.
Not
Yeah,
an atheist, man.
I don't need science to corroborate what I believe.
Well, that's fair enough. It's a belief.
No.
You're potentially fallible.
No.
So when you say believe,
No.
you're agreeing that
No.
you could be wrong.
I'm saying no. That's not what belief means.
Yes, it is.
No.
I mentioned that before. You didn't disagree when I said if I believe that the number 10 bus will be along in 5 minutes.
No.
I could be wrong. I'll say I
Right,
could be
and
wrong.
then I brought my example of climbing Mount Everest. Yeah. All right. Convinced. I'm convinced.
Yeah, okay.
I don't need
Yeah.
science to convince me any further as to what I'm
You're
convinced by.
describing your psychological state.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I'm not.
Ah, yes, you are.
Why am I?
You are.
That's the way you're using the word convinced.
I mean, no, the word believe, convince, accept, trust,
Yeah.
right. Reason. Why am I convinced?
It doesn't necessarily apply to the state of affairs in the real.
Well, if I say I'm convinced by something, you should say, what are you convinced by?
Throughout history,
I don't need science to convince. See, science, all science can do, yeah? I don't need science to corroborate what I believe, just as when I deal with a Christian, I don't need the Bible to corroborate Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I don't need the Bible.
you don't need.
No.
Okay, so you
And
don't need
now what I would
empirical
do, no. It's not empirical what you just said. None of it's empirical. Right? So I don't need science to corroborate what I say. I don't need it. Alhamdulillah. Now, if science challenged, so let's say, for example, going back to what I was trying to say earlier, let's just say science has determined that the Earth orbits the Sun.
Yeah.
And then the Quran says the Sun orbits the Earth,
Yeah.
or the Earth is static, then I have a problem.
Or is flat.
Then I have a problem. So then I have to question, have I misunderstood what the Quran's saying?
Okay.
Or is the Quran wrong?
Yeah.
You're right.
But I don't need to find things in the Quran to match science. Science has to match the Quran.
Oh, right, okay.
That's the point. When we Muslims, we use the Quran, we don't say, oh, the Quran talks about this and that and it's a science book. No, not at all. Yeah? We don't need that. The Quran's a book of signs, not science.
Signs?
Signs, yes. Indications. This is why the Quran says...
Sign. I often wonder about the definition of what a sign is in this context.
Okay, well, the Quran tells you. Have you not travelled the earth? Have you not contemplated? Have you not reflected? Did you create yourself? The Quran challenges all of these things. Have you read the Quran?
Bits of it.
But that wasn't the question. Why have you not read the Quran? You want evidence, you crave evidence, you want proof.
Yeah.
Just read it.
Yeah. Okay. There's the challenge for 2017. Try and get beyond page 20.
Yes. I remember first thing about the Quran. Most of the initial part is referring to the children of Israel and such, then speaking about Jesus and such.
Yeah.
So if you're not really religious minded in that sense, you might get a little bit laborious in the stories there. But then, mashallah, when you get further on, then you'll start feeling it. Yeah, because this is what we believe, what I'm convinced by, is this uncaused cause, which I believe has to be conscious to cause the universe, has sent guidance to the ones he created, and it just happens to be that the guidance that we're taught as Muslims and what we follow in our daily lives as Muslim is to our benefit. Now, it just seems amazing for me, 1400 years ago, someone put a book together and it just seems to fit man like a glove. Like a glove. That if you follow its teachings, if you follow its guidance, you'll have peace and serenity within your life. Forget heaven and hellfire and all that. We're just talking about living in this jungle.
Actually, here's a question for you, if I may butt in. Very good.
Over to this young man here.
Hajj is our pilgrimage. He say there's no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his final messenger. The ones on thee know it's a sacrifice, but it's a small price to pay for all the rewards we'll get from Allah, inshallah.
They wanna know about Islam, we'll give them dawah. They wanna know what a Muslim does, we'll give them dawah. When they wanna hate on our deen, we'll give them dawah. Who's the one and only? Nobody but Allah.